Hello friends, good morning. My name is Akash Khobragade. I am a PhD scholar at Delhi University and coordinator at Karunyakara Institute of Dalit Knowledge. Karunyakara Institute of Dalit Knowledge is founded by Professor Dr. Leela Karunyakara sir on the occasion and his idea behind this institution to provide an academic space to professors, doctors and social scientists who are engaged in the field of Dalit studies. Today Karunyakara Institute of Dalit Knowledge going to have its 37th of lecture, and this lecture is a part of a series which we started on the occasion of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Jayanti 2025. Professor Dr. Leela Karunyakara sir today going to chair the session, and also he is going to deliver today's lecture. So to welcome him and introduce him, I'll take an immense pleasure to myself to introduce him. So Professor Dr. Leela Karunyakara sir is a former Vice Chancellor and founder of Karunyakara Institute of Dalit Knowledge. He is author of History of Dalit Identity and Modernization of Buddhism. After completing his PhD from JNU New Delhi, Dr. Professor Karunyakara sir joined as Assistant Professor in School of Ambedkar Studies, Babasaheb Bhimrao Ambedkar University, Central University, Lucknow. He introduced the Dalit History course in MA History program. He was instrumental in introducing 50% reservation for SC/ST students in the BBAU admissions. He founded Ambedkar University Dalit Students Union in 2000 and Babasaheb Bhimrao Ambedkar Central University SC/ST Teachers Association in 2006. He joined as director cum professor in the Babasaheb Ambedkar Sidhu Kanur Murmu Dalit and Tribal Studies Center for Mahatma Gandhi Antarashtriya Hindi Vishwavidyalaya. He held post of Dean of School of Culture and former Vice Chancellor of the University. Thank you. I welcome Professor Dr. Leela Karunyakara sir, and I request and Professor Dr. Leela Karunyakara sir going to deliver his lecture on Ambedkar Text 5th, Annihilation of Caste, Part 1. I request Professor Karunyakara sir to please start his lecture. Thank you.
Good morning to everyone and Jai Bhim. Today's lecture is Annihilation of Caste, a text of Ambedkar which we could find in the volume 1 of the Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Writings and Speeches. Second book of this volume 1 is Annihilation of Caste. The book, this is Annihilation of Caste. It is actually an undelivered speech. This was written to deliver a speech to address annual conference of Jat Pat Todak Mandal of Lahore. Lahore right now is in Pakistan. So this address was written in the year 1936, that is before independence of India. There was a association called Jat Pat Todak Mandal of caste Hindus. They were not Dalits. It was not a Dalit association. Jat Pat Todak Mandal. So breaking the caste system. That's the meaning of Jat Pat Todak Mandal. System, an association of non-Dalits. Ambedkar was asked to deliver a lecture to address the annual conference of Jat Pat Todak Mandal in 1936, but it was cancelled. By the time Ambedkar wrote his presidential address and got it published also. But however, he could not deliver because Jat Pat Todak Mandal members found the Ambedkar speech not acceptable. Look what Ambedkar exactly wrote in his third reprint of the speech. It was first published in 1936 when Jatpat Todak Mandal cancelled its annual conference, so Ambedkar could not deliver his speech. So it was published in 1936. Within 1 year, first copy, it was around more than 1,500 copies. It went. After that, second reprint, it was done within a year, 1937. Then 1944, the third reprint of the revised version of the Annihilation of Caste was published by Ambedkar, along with the Gandhi's review of the Annihilation of Caste and Ambedkar's reply to the Gandhi's review on Annihilation of Caste. So including all these things, Annihilation of Caste, including the Gandhi's reaction and Ambedkar's reply to Gandhi's reaction. These three together, Ambedkar brought out a new edition of Annihilation of Caste address, the speech, in the year 1944. So Ambedkar clearly, in that third edition, the third edition is included in this volume, the volume 1. Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar's writings and speeches, the book Annihilation of Thought, Annihilation of Caste speech, the third edition, third reprint was included in this volume 1. In the third edition, Ambedkar clearly wrote the reason why it is being not delivered. It's clearly written here, the speech prepared by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar for 1936 annual conference of the Jatpat Todak Mandal of Lahore, but not delivered, owing to the cancellation of the conference by the reception committee on the ground that the views expressed in the speech would be unbearable to the conference. So Ambedkar's speech, Jatpat Todak Mandal of Lahore invited Ambedkar to preside their annual conference and to deliver the presidential address. And Ambedkar, titled his presidential address as Annihilation of Caste. And he sent a few copies to the Jatpat Todak Mandal people before the conference. Then they found it unbearable. Ambedkar views were unbearable to them. They want Jatpat Todak Mandal want to destroy the caste system, but Ambedkar views were unbearable. Ambedkar said that if it is unbearable, it's better. I don't want to deliver the speech. So that's why it was cancelled. Jatpat Todak Mandal people, they were not Dalits. They were caste Hindus. And one more thing, Ambedkar defines. When we talk about annihilation of caste, naturally the question arises: who involved making the caste system, protecting the caste system, continuing the caste system, and who are the beneficiaries of the caste system, and who wants to break the caste system? So when the one term keep on repeating in the whole lecture on annihilation of caste is caste Hindu, which Ambedkar used. But we find what the meaning of caste Hindu, not this in volume 1, not in the Annihilation of Caste. We can find the meaning of the caste Hindu in the volume 5 of the same Ambedkar's Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar writings and speeches, volume 5. It is about unpublished writings. Untouchables are the children of the India's ghetto, and the other essays on untouchables and untouchability, social, political, religious. This is about the untouchables. So volume 5 in chapter, there's a chapter 14, chapter number 14, problem of isolation, in which Babasaheb Ambedkar explained who are these caste Hindus. Ambedkar very clearly says that caste Hindus, Ambedkar says that, also called Savarna Hindus, Nowadays, we can see in the social media, many people use this word, term, Savarna Hindus, particularly North Indian Hindi speaking journalists. They generally use, the term Savarna Hindus. To whom Ambedkar referred in English or in all his speeches and writings, caste Hindus. And who are these caste Hindus? There is a class called ruling class. Within that caste Hindus, actually those who rule the country. Ambedkar want to say that my earlier lecture, Ambedkar told Gandhi, Mahatma ji, I have no homeland. This was the statement made by Ambedkar to Gandhi ji. My last lecture on Jews, Ambedkar views on Jews, I discussed about that. So Ambedkar was of the view that Dalits and other depressed classes like backward castes, tribals, they're all Indians. They're all Indians. Because we born in India, we are Indians. We are the citizens of India. But the system that rules the whole country belongs to caste Hindus. That's what Ambedkar want to say. So the question is that just because of we are Indian, it doesn't mean that we are ruling the country of India. Or we are, ruling the country of India means not a prime minister or chief minister. Try to understand. Prime minister, how many prime ministers at a time? Only one. There is only one prime minister post. There is only one chief minister post for each state. That's not that, here ruling class. Ruling class means the whole ruling system. Who rules the system? It's a bureaucracy that rules the system. Who controls the system? Bureaucracy controls the system. Bureaucracy means what? IAS, Indian Administrative Service, that controls the civil system. IPS, Indian Police Service, that controls the police system. Understand? IRS, Indian Revenue Service, that controls the revenue system. Civil, police, and revenue. These are the three important things. So IAS, IPS, IRS. These are the three important services. Now the question, how to get into who is dominating these services? That's the question here. Who is dominating IAS service? Who is dominating IPS service? Who is dominating the IRS service? Since there is a implementation of reservation, of course, Dalits also finding space in the civil administration, IAS, police administration, IPS, and also revenue administration, IRS. These are the three services that matters most to control the bureaucratic system of the country. It's the bureaucracy that runs the official system. Now, another system that overrides these three people. These three people, actually they execute they execute the orders of the political authority, prime minister, chief minister, their orders, these three services, IAS, IPS, IRS, they execute. But laws are made in the parliament. Laws are made in the assembly. For that matter, one has to be powerful in the politics also. The other one is that judiciary. So when Ambedkar says that caste Hindus, Savarna Hindus are ruling class. See, let me explain actually what Ambedkar wants, what are the terms Ambedkar used to call the ruling class. caste Hindus, who are also called Savarna Hindus, who are also called Dvijas. Dvijas means twice born. They are born from their mother birth, mother womb, and they are also born into their Varna after having that, what is that called? Janu. So that's why these people called Dvijas. Only three people can have, only three Varnas have a right to hold the Janu, according to Shastras, Hindu Shastras. That's a Brahmin, Kshatriya, and Vaishya. Many people nowadays use the Janu. They put many backward caste people, Shudras also, they put the Janu. But that is not permitted according to that's not permitted by the Shastras. Since it's a democracy, you can't question if anybody is putting the Janu. But according to Shastras, it's only Brahmin, Kshatriya, and Vaishya have the right to put that thread. That's identity. So that is called rebirth. One more birth. So that's called these people, these three varnas called Dvijas. Ambedkar explaining this book, volume number 5, when he was writing about untouchables, he was talking about who are the Savarnas. We heard about Ambedkar talking who are the untouchables, who are the Shudras, but Ambedkar talked about who are the Savarnas also, who are the caste Hindus in this volume number 5. So Ambedkar used the terms, it's a caste Hindu who could be called a Savarna Hindu, and within that Savarna Hindu there are a class called ruling class. Who are this ruling class? No, within the Savarna Hindu not. So all Savarna Hindus are ruling class. This caste Hindus, the Savarna Hindus, caste Hindu is a Savarna Hindu. Savarna Hindu is a non-English term. Caste Hindu is an English term. And they are also called Dvijas. They are called Dvijas because they are twice born. 2 times they take birth. One is natural birth from their mother's womb, and the other one is religious birth or caste birth. They born their caste by putting their thread. So that's why they are called the Dvijas. They are also called Trivarnikas. Trivarnikas. Trivarnikas means three varna. Trivarna means Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya. These three varnakas, they are also called Trivarnikas. These Trivarnikas, Ambedkar writes, quote unquote, quote within the quote, castes evolved out of the three varnas, Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya. Who are these Trivarnikas? Who are these Dvijas? Who are these Savarnas? Who are this caste Hindu? Ambedkar explains that these castes evolved out of the three varnas, Brahmins, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas. This is what Ambedkar writes here. So now we understood what is caste Hindu, the term caste Hindu meant, or what is the term Savarna meant, and what is the term Trivarna. This Savarna can also be called Trivarna. Try to understand. Savarna can be also called Trivarna. Make it Trivarna. If you ask me, Trivarna is a better word. Why? Because they are the three varnas, Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya. Instead of calling them Savarna, it has some, Savarna is an adjective, as if Varna is some good. Savarna. Instead of that, instead of giving value addition to that, the identity. When you call Savarna, that is, you are giving value to that. Instead of, you better call Trivarna. In English, Ambedkar never used the term upper caste. It's very unfortunate that many people who are well read about Ambedkar also use the term upper caste. Many times I have seen with Bahan Mayawati ji, with due respects to her, I found she used the terms like upper caste. It's very unfortunate. Ambedkarites should not use the term upper caste. See, when you say somebody upper caste, then it means that you are admitting you are going to be a lower caste forever. If you are admitting that you are a lower caste forever and other people are upper caste forever, then what is the meaning of fighting against the caste system? Why do you want to fight against the caste system? Why do you want to annihilate the caste system? You want to annihilate the caste system. You want to abolish the caste system because you don't want to see any identities called upper caste or lower caste. So when are you going to start that revolution in the form of identities? So you have to begin. See, caste is a notion in the mind that reflects on the road, on the streets, in the society. So when you address the caste system, casteism, your vocabulary that works as a soldier against the caste. So when you want to dismantle the caste system, you have to employ your vocabulary as a soldiers to fight against the caste system on behalf of you. When you employ weak soldier, it means that very weak vocabulary or very confused soldiers. It means very confusing vocabulary. Tell me one thing, weak soldiers, you suppose there is a fight between two kings. Between two kings, there is a war. Now, if one king employs weak soldiers or confused soldiers, can that king able to defeat the other king? No. Confused soldiers, weak soldiers cannot defeat the enemy. Same way, fighting against the caste is, though it is not a physical war, though it is not a war like between the kings, but it's an intellectual conflict. It's a philosophical conflict. It's a philosophical war. It's a war between casteism, a philosophy called casteism, a philosophy called equality. So how do you engage with this war? Not on the road, not abusing the people, not in a physical violence, no physical violence. It's an intellectual arguments. When you make intellectual arguments, you have to use the words, vocabulary. In that vocabulary, what kind of vocabulary you are employing in your intellectual war? What kind of vocabulary you are employing? Because your vocabulary is a soldier. If you are employing the weak, confused vocabulary, it means that you are employing the weak and confused soldier. So you are never going to win the war against the caste system. Ambedkar wanted to annihilate the caste system. That's why Ambedkar employed very strong vocabulary, very clear vocabulary. No confusion. So Ambedkar used the terms like caste Hindus. There is nobody called upper caste or lower caste. If you want to work for the equality, we should not use the terms like upper caste or lower caste. We should always use the term which Ambedkar employed, that caste Hindus or Trivarnika. Instead of Savarna, you will use the Trivarna. This is what Ambedkar employed. So now coming back to here, now we understood that what Ambedkar meaning of caste Hindu. Caste Hindu is nothing but The term refers to Trivarna. The term refers to Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya together, and whom Ambedkar called, regarded them as a ruling class. Ambedkar says, Herren folk are the ruling class. He's calling them ruling class in his the volume number 5. Now coming back to our volume number 1, where we are talking about Annihilation of Caste Part 1. Here, see, this Annihilation of Caste, as I said, is a speech, undelivered speech, to a particular organization in then, before independence. That organization belonged to Lahore, I said. Ambedkar explained many concepts in his speech. This speech actually consists of total 26 chapters. Annihilation of Caste consisting of 26 chapters. So it's not so easy to complete all the chapters in a given one lecture time. Hence, we will be having series of lectures on Annihilation of Caste till we complete all the concepts that Ambedkar explained in his speech, Annihilation of Caste. So let me start with the first concept which Ambedkar floated, Ambedkar explained in his prologue written to his speech, Annihilation of Caste. Prologue, it's a preface. So prologue, in the prologue, Ambedkar, one concept which needs an attention, a serious attention, that is movement led by caste Hindus. That's why I explained caste Hindus. What is the meaning of caste Hindus from different volume? I explained to you people why, because throughout this lecture, Annihilation of Caste, we get to know about often we are hearing the term caste Hindus. So now the first concept which I am going to explain and analyze, which Ambedkar talked about in his speech, that is not to participate. He's suggesting that should not be a part of any movement led by caste Hindus. What Ambedkar exact words? Quote. I'm quoting Ambedkar from Annihilation of Caste prologue. See what he's writing. As a rule, I do not like to take any part in a movement which is carried on by the caste Hindus. As a rule, give very serious thought about every word of Ambedkar's statement. As a rule, it's not just like the opinion he is saying. He made a rule for himself. Rule should not be broken. On the road, if there is a red light, you should stop your car. You should not break the rule. You should not break the red light. Then you will be fined. So same way, Ambedkar imposed a rule on himself. What is that rule? As a rule, I do not like to take any part in a movement which is carried on by the caste Hindus. Why? Why? As I said, for Ambedkar, caste Hindus are ruling class. Ambedkar is giving the reason why he doesn't want to be, why he did not want to be part of any movement led by caste Hindus. Because their attitude towards social reform is so different from mine that I have found it difficult to pull on with them. Indeed, I find their company quite uncongenial to me on account of our differences of opinion. This is the reason. Ambedkar said their way of caste Hindus' way of doing social reform is entirely different from my way of doing the social reform. That's what Ambedkar wanted to say. How it is different? Caste Hindus reform means reform of Hindu society means those days they were fighting against the child marriages, abolition of sati, this kind of thing, but not fighting against the caste system. Ambedkar wanted caste Hindus to fight against the caste system. Now tell me, today, in the year 2026, is there any movement led by caste Hindus against the caste system? Is there? No. You don't find a single movement. Even in 2026, you don't find a single organization leading a movement, organizing a movement against the caste system. No. Forget about the against caste system. There is no movement even against the untouchability. Untouchability was abolished by the constitution. Fine. Dowry was abolished by the law. But still, there is a practice of dowry. The same way, there is a practice of untouchability. So is there any movement? No. Is there any movement? Forget about the caste Hindus. The biggest sufferers of the untouchability are scheduled castes. Is there any movement led by scheduled castes against the untouchability? Eradicating the untouchability or fighting against the caste system? Is there any movement? Is there any social reform movement at present led by the scheduled castes against caste and untouchability? No. Anyhow, so the concept Ambedkar floating here is that he don't want to be part of any movement led by the caste Hindus, even if it is against the caste. Even if it is caste Hindus fighting against the caste system, even that movement also Ambedkar don't want to be part of it. Ambedkar wants to build his own movement, organic movement. The most important thing is that Ambedkar, why Ambedkar said this? Why Ambedkar said this? He wanted a separate movement. For the simple reason that a ruling class can't fight against their own power. Even if they sympathize with the Dalits, but leadership should be in the hands of the Dalits. So Ambedkar clearly states that even if ruling class, even if it is the caste Hindus sympathize, support Dalits who are fighting against the caste system, but leadership always should be in the hands of the Dalits. That's why you look, Ambedkar sympathized with the Shudras. And majority of Shudras are backward caste. Ambedkar sympathized with them. Ambedkar worked for them. But Ambedkar never tried to become a leader of the Shudras. Ambedkar wanted Shudras to develop their own leadership. Ambedkar worked for the rights of Adivasi, but Ambedkar never wanted to become a leader of Adivasi. Ambedkar wanted Adivasi to have their own leadership because Ambedkar believes that we can cooperate between each other, we can support each other, but we should have our own organic leadership. Dalit should have their own leadership. Adivasi should have their own leadership. Shudras should have their own leadership. Backward caste Shudras should have their own leadership. That is what Ambedkar's meaning of why he didn't want to be part of any movement led by caste Hindus. The most important thing, another concept we can go into, that is social reform. Now, social reform, Ambedkar was very clear. Without social reform, there is no political power. That's why Ambedkar wanted the community should have social reform first. Now tell me, is there any organization at present working for the social reform? All organizations working for the political reforms, political power. Tell me one Dalit organization that is working for the social reform. Manivar Kanshiram used to have Ambedkar Mela. That's the social reform. Where is the Ambedkar Mela? Conducted by any organization? No. Individually, people are doing by themselves. There is no organization that could conduct Ambedkar Mela, Dalit Literature Festival at national level. Not a single. And some people think that without working for the social reform, they get the political power. No. They don't get the political power. For political power, you need to have a social reform. My next lecture is going to be on the concept of social reform and political power within this Annihilation of Caste. Annihilation of Caste book, I said already, it's a 26 chapters. It's not a simple one lecture. So that speech consists of many concepts. Today, I discussed the concept called self-leadership. What Ambedkar explained, he didn't want to be part of any movement led by caste Hindus. What does it mean? Self-leadership. Dalits should have their own movements. Dalits should have their own leadership. Of course, Dalit movement could be supported by the Brahmins, could be supported by the Kshatriyas, could be supported by the Vaishyas. Means Dalit movement could be supported by the Trivarnas. No problem. But Trivarna should not lead Dalit movement. It means Dalit should not be part of the Trivarna movements. If you become part of the Trivarna movements, then Trivarna would be your leaders. Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya would be your leader because you are a part of Trivarna movement. Then only Trivarna could become your leader. As long as you are not part of the movement led by Trivarnas, they cannot be your leader. But very funny things happening nowadays. There are some organizations, Dalit organizations, though it is a Dalit organization, but they always call Trivarna people to preside over the Dalit meetings, to talk about the Ambedkar. How funny it is and how illogical. Dalit meeting, Dalit organization, Dalit money, Dalit space, Dalit energy, and Dalit audience also, majority. But the speaker, non-Dalit. How foolish it is. You are expecting a non-Dalit to talk about Ambedkar. You are expecting a non-Dalit to talk about the Dalit experience of life, Dalit politics, Dalit life. This is what Ambedkar opposed. See, they can be in audience, not on the platform, not with the mic. The leadership should always be in the hands of the Dalits. Just because of somebody sponsored some 1,000 rupees or 1 lakh rupees to your movement, it doesn't mean that you should allow a non-Dalit should to sit on the dais or to give a lecture how Dalits should be. No, it's illogical. That's why Ambedkar's statement, once again I repeat, because that's a very important statement that makes Dalit understanding about the movements. The statement is, as a rule, these Ambedkar words, as a rule, I do not like to take any part in a movement which is carried on by the caste Hindus. It's a rule for him. So Dalits who are Ambedkarites should follow this rule, Ambedkar's rule. If Brahmin is sponsoring some 1 lakh rupee to your movement, take it. But if he wants to join you, make him to sit in the audience. That's what Ambedkar says. What I mean to say, Ambedkar want to create organic leadership, organic movements. Many people question, some so-called sympathizers of some Trivarna sympathizers, they are the so-called sympathizers of Adivasis. They were talking that, oh, what Ambedkar did for Adivasi. What not Ambedkar did for Adivasi, you tell me. If anybody did anything to Adivasi, that's what Ambedkar only. No other leader did anything to Adivasi or Shudras or backward caste. It was Ambedkar only. Did all best things, all rights. He worked for the rights of Adivasi and backward caste. But he never wanted to be leader of them. That is the reason some people misunderstood that Ambedkar didn't do anything to backward caste, Shudras. Ambedkar didn't do anything to Adivasis. They misunderstood Ambedkar. Ambedkar worked for Adivasi and Shudras and backward caste, but he didn't want to take leadership of those communities. He always believed that he wanted organic leadership within the backward caste, within the Shudras, within the Adivasis. Since he didn't take the leadership of these communities, some people are thinking that Ambedkar didn't do anything for Adivasi and Shudras. And Mahatma Gandhi took the leadership of Shudra, backward caste and Adivasi. But he didn't do anything for them specially. But still people think that Gandhi did many things for backward caste. Gandhi did many things for Adivasi. Just because Gandhi became leader of them. But Gandhi didn't work for the especially for the rights of the backward caste or Adivasi. No, he never worked. He worked only for the in general, for the freedom movement, for the freedom from the British. He led the freedom movement. But especially, he never worked for the rights of the Shudras, backward caste or the Adivasis, which Ambedkar did. But Ambedkar never took the leadership of these two communities. So there is a misunderstanding about Ambedkar by some Trivarna scholars that Ambedkar didn't do anything for Adivasi and OBCs. It's because Ambedkar didn't want to take the leadership of them, but worked for them. So this lecture, I restricted myself to the one concept to begin with, the annihilation of caste, that self-leadership, self-movement, organic leadership, organic movement. With these few words, I take leave. And in my next lecture, I'll be taking up the concept of this social reform and political power as a part of lecture on annihilation of caste. Thank you very much. Jai Bhim, Jai Bharat.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for mind-blowing explanation on organic leadership on the topic, under the topic Ambedkar, Annihilation of Caste, written by Dr. Baba Ambedkar. All the questions will be taken at the last of the lecture in this on the topic.
Shashikant, this experiment we did with earlier,
Yes,
with Mr. Russell and Reconstruction of Society, we had 3 series of lectures.
Yes.
We took questions at the end, but many demanded that it's better to take the questions since concepts are different. So it's better to take the questions on each lecture. So though this annihilation of caste will be having a series of lectures, we will take questions on each lecture.
Okay. Those who want to ask question, please raise your hand, please. Those who want to ask question, please raise your hand. Ji, yes, Amit Kumar, please go ahead. Mr. Amit Kumar.
Thank you for your fascinating. Yes. Can you hear me? Hello.
Yeah.
Could you open your video?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else?
Anybody else who want to ask question?
Yes, Amit.
Hello, sir.
Open your video.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, Amit. Carry on.
Yes, sir. Amit Kumar Ghosh from Bengal. I'm a PhD scholar of IDSK, Institute of Development Studies, Kolkata. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your fascinating lecture.
Which organization?
I want to ask from...
One minute. Amit, which organization you belong?
This is not organizations. IDSK, Institute of Development Studies, Kolkata. That is sister institute of University of Calcutta. Okay, and I am from Bahujan background. I am in Bengal. I am OBC here, other backward caste, and I am associated with several kind of anti-caste associations, and also I'm doing research on social mobility and caste politics of Chamar in Bengal. So this is my 3 years. I am doing my research. So, sir, I have some question on this thing. Sir, you talk about self-leadership and organic intellectual. For this political movement, this is very essential thing. But doing research on Dalit issue and Bahujan issue, can you guide us, sir? I'm basically facing this dilemma. Some Savarna scholarships, and also they are basically they want to guiding us ki you can't elaborate all the thing from your experience, and for doing research you have to objectify all the problem. So you can't speak always from your own experience, your Bahujan status. So they always wanted to guide us. So like this kind of thing. So doing research in social science, how it is important objectification or experience, sir? Can you guide us, sir, on this thing? Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's your question. Of course, it's though you have raised initially about the self-help, the group. I mean to say that self organic leadership. You have extend that the area of the scope of your question to the your research, everything that My answer is that, look, there are many paradigms, many frameworks, many methods to understand the truth. Getting my point? Truth is singular. There is a truth. That's a singular. You can't have two truths for the same thing. There is only one truth. But the truth can be understood differently by different people. So for example, if we have a glass of water, half the glass of water in your hand, for some people it is the half the glass of water, for some people half the glass of air. Because in a glass, when glass is half of the glass is filled with water, it means second half of the other half of the glass is filled with the air. So for some people, the glass is filled with the water. For some people, glass filled with the air. For some people, glass is filled with the both water as well as air. So how three different perspectives? Simple, one glass of half of the glass of water has a three perspectives. And we are talking about the society. So much complex society. Indian society is so much diversified in many aspects. In that sense, in that case, what would happen? You would be having many perspectives, many frameworks to understand the truth. So one of the framework is one of the organic framework, authentic framework, tested framework, and it delivered concrete results for past 70 years. That is Ambedkar framework. In other words, Dalit framework. So this Dalit perspective, the core of the Dalit perspective is the issue of a Dalit. However, it has a scope that includes backward class empowerment and Adivasi empowerment also, and as a broad level in the whole Indian empowerment. Now, here I would like to mention one Shudra intellectual, OBC by himself. His name is Professor Kancha Ailaya. Kancha Ailaya making his own identity as a Shudra intellectuals. Many people think of him as a Dalit. So he clearly said that I am not a Dalit, I am a Shudra intellectual. But one important thing that we must understand from the Kancha Ailaya's reading of Ambedkar is that he floated an idea called Dalitization of Shudras. Dalitization of Shudras. Here, Dalitization doesn't mean that the Dalit community. There are many Dalits who are not even Dalitized. There are many Dalits are still Brahminized. So when Kancha Ailaya talks about Dalitization of Shudras, he is talking about adopting the Dalit framework to understand the truth. Now you could argue that Dalits are different, the Shudras are different, Dalits are farmer untouchables, their issues are different, Shudras issues are of course they are different, their issues also different. But you have to face a common enemy or common opponent. When you are talking about the common opponent, if I don't want to use the term enemy, after all, we are all part of the same India, you can't say that it's common opponents, ideological opponents. So when you face the common opponents, so naturally your framework has to be common. You understand? So when your framework has to be common, then what could be your framework? That is Ambedkar framework. That's a Dalit framework, Dalit perspective. So when you look at the things, being a Bahujan, when you look at the Bahujan issue only, forget about the Dalit issue. You are taking up the Bahujan issue, and you are trying to understand the Bahujan issue, the truth, Bahujan truth. From the Dalit perspective, that gives philosophical advantage to you. How I say that gives philosophical advantage to you? Because Dalit perspective is entirely opposite and different. Not only different, opposite to the Brahmin perspective. See, if you ask me, I believe that in India, to understand the truth in India, there are only two perspectives: Dalit or Brahmin. All perspectives, all methodologies, all frameworks, you have to put within these two broader perspectives, either Dalit or Brahmin. Why I say this? Brahmin perspective has very clear, very clear ideology called Brahminism. Dalit perspective has very clear ideology called Ambedkarism or Dalitism. How these two are different? These two are fundamentally different. So if you are talking about, Bahujan perspective or Shudra perspective or something like that, you can't be a fundamentally different. Why you can't be a fundamentally different? Because you are finding solution within the Brahmin perspective. But if you are trying to find the solution within from the Dalit perspective, then you have to accept the Dalits as your equal partners. Many Bahujan, many Shudras, backward castes, where they commit a mistake that they fight against the Brahminism. But they fight against the Brahminism. In the course of fight against the Brahminism, they take the support of the Dalits. But they don't want to treat Dalits as equal partners, even in their fight. So your question is that, sir, Trivarna scholars, caste Hindu scholars, Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya scholars, they are guiding you that you can't look everything from the one singular perspective. That's what they are guiding you. But that's wrong guidance. Why I say perspective is like a specs. You are having a specs, or you are wearing the specs or not. How can you say that I can't see everything with the same specs? You have to see. You have to see. You are putting the blue color specs, then everything is a blue for you. If you are putting the green color specs, everything is a green for you. Instead of that, you are putting your organic specs that has a power glasses. Doctor has suggested you have to have this kind of power only. Then only you could see the truth very clearly. So when others people are suggesting you that no, you can't find a truth of everything from the same perspective, that's wrong. Perspective is meant for looking at the truth from the same perspective. That is what the perspective meaning. How could you keep on changing your perspectives? If you want to understand truth of anything, you should have one perspective. Brahminism is a one perspective. Marxism is a one perspective. See, every ideology provides you a perspective. You can't change the perspective just because the area is changed, the issue is changed, the truth is different. Different places, different truths are there. Yes, everything has a different truth, but the truth of the particular thing is the same. But you could understand differently because your perspective is different. Truth is the same. Perspective has to be different. You can't adapt Brahmin perspective for everything. Then you will become you understand the truth from the Brahmin perspective. You have to totally discard the Brahmin perspective. It's not that some truth you can understand from the Brahmin perspective, some truth you can understand from the Dalit perspective. No. Every truth should be understood either from Brahmin perspective or Dalit perspective. So you have to finalize which perspective. If anybody is saying that no, you can't understand everything from only one perspective, that's the wrong thing. You can't understand everything only from your experience, that's the wrong thing. It's the wrong thing. Why? Because your experience is providing you your perspective. After all, experience, you see, I'm a historian. History is made by personal experiences only. Ideologies are accepted. Ideologies, the influence of ideology becomes more powerful only when you have your personal experience associated with that ideology. Try to understand what I mean to say. Unless your personal experience is associated with ideology, then only that ideology makes strong impact on you. You are accepting particular ideology means not just because of that ideology is beautiful, because that ideology relates to your personal experience. Suppose a Brahmin guy also can speak, Brahmin scholar also can speak about the equality. But he cannot be organic. He cannot be authentic. Why? Because he never had an experience of inequality. That's why all his arguments, all his commitments at peripheral level only. That is the reason in the whole history, Ambedkar said, in whole Indian history, not a single Voltaire was born in Brahmin society. You can find Abraham Lincoln among the whites who worked for the blacks and died. You can find Voltaire in Europe. But you don't find any such people within the Brahmin society. In the whole thousands of years of Indian history. If that is the truth, how could you say that someone from your, some friend or some scholar, some professor, suddenly saying that, no, we are all also for the equality. You can't adopt only your perspective. You should adopt our perspective also. No, that could be peripheral. That could be, see, it's not that we are doubting the intentions of all Brahmin scholars. We are not doubting. There are many committed people. But what I'm trying to say that their commitment is only peripheral for the simple reason they don't have personal experience of inequality. Because of that reason, their perspective cannot be an authentic, cannot be an organic. So Dalit, Adivasi and Shudras backwards, they should adapt Ambedkar's perspective or Dalit perspective, which Karunyakara says that Dalitization, Dalitization. See, when a Bahujan brings his own experience to the Dalit, it's an addition. It's an addition to Dalit. When Adivasi brings his own experience to Dalit, it's an addition to Dalit. So there is a strong need for the Bahujan scholars, Adivasi scholars, Dalit scholars to Dalitize themselves intellectually. So I hope that I have given you an answer to that. So that is the reason you have to stick to the perspective. Sometimes you might feel that your perspective is not sufficient to understand the particular truth. In that case, it's not. In that case, you have to strengthen your perspective. It's not that you have to change your perspective. You have to strengthen your perspective by taking the experiences of Dalits, by taking the experience of Adivasis, by taking the experience of other Shudras, some other backwards. Then what happened? The perspective will be strengthened more. The clarity, you will get more clarity. Right? You should not change the perspective. Yes, any other question, please?
Mr. Amit Kumar Chilli.
Yes, sir. Sir, thank you so much. Your lecture is very wonderful, very knowledgeable. And I ask three questions.
Please go with one question, please. There is time issue, no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, my question is, Dr. Ambedkar always says, caste is not labor division. Caste is division of laborer. So relevance in Baba Sahib Professor Ambedkar books Annihilation of Caste.
Mr. Amit, we are going to have series of lectures on annihilation of caste. Ambedkar discussed many concepts in his speech Annihilation of Caste. So the concept which you are referring, division of labor, that's also part of annihilation of caste. So when we talk about that part of lecture, certainly we'll be discussing that concept of division of laborers, and I'll be explaining it. That time you could ask this question. Thank you.
Sir, I want to understand your take on the socio-political fabric of any movement of socio-political fabric. So don't you think that the socio-politics is a very complexity blend together in society to separate all those things separately?
You were talking about social as well as political.
Yes, sir. Socio-political fabric of any movement. What's your take? That to understand the to complexity to understand separately.
Mr. Shashikant, Ambedkar dealt with this concept, social reform and political power. That's what our next lecture topic also.
Yes.
So within the annihilation of caste, I'll be dealing that concept how social and political relation between the social reform and political reform. So that time you could ask this question.
Okay, sir. So we are moving towards the ending the session. So I'm going for the vote of thanks. On behalf of KIDK, I warmly thank Professor Dr. L. Karunyakara, sir, a respected Dalit historian and a Ambedkarite thinker, for chairing today's session as well as his wonderful and thought-provoking lecture as a key speaker on the topic Ambedkar Text 5, Annihilation of Caste. Professor is a former Vice Chancellor of Mahatma Gandhi Antarashtriya Hindi Viswavidyalaya University, a Central University Varda, Maharashtra, and an expert of Dalit affairs as well as Dr. Ambedkar writings. Our sincere thanks to all the participants and attendees of the 37th online lecture in the KIDK lecture series. A special thanks to our coordinators, Dr. Sukeshni, Dr. Darshana, Dr. Smita Bhagat, Mr. Akash, Mr. Shreyat, Mr. Vijay for their continuous efforts and support in making this session successful. This lecture series started on Ambedkar Jayanti 2025, continues to spread knowledge and new ideas in the field of Dalit studies. Thank you once again to everyone for your valuable participation. And before we close, please don't forget to subscribe to the Dalit Knowledge YouTube channel, where this recorded session will be uploaded soon. Jai Bhim. The session is over.